Welcome back to the Rare Coins Collections. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic coins in American numismatics, the Washington Quarter $1776 to 1976. This coin isn't just a piece of currency, it's a beautiful blend of American history, patriotic symbolism, and rare collector appeal. Whether you've seen it before in your pocket change or have it tucked away in your collection, the 1776 to 1976 Washington Quarter is far more than just a commemorative coin. It holds real value and offers a glimpse into the rich heritage of the United States. Stick around to learn just how much this coin could be worth. Now, let's set the stage for a quick history lesson. The Washington Quarter dollar was first introduced in 1932 to honor the first President of the United States, George Washington, on the 200th anniversary of his birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the quarter has featured Washington's profile on the obverse and a majestic eagle on the reverse for decades. It became an iconic piece of American currency and is recognized far beyond just numismatic circles. But in 1976, something special happened. 1976 marked the bicentennial of the United States, the 200th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. To celebrate this monumental occasion, the U.S. Mint issued a special version of the Washington Quarter. This was a one-time design change, making the 1776 to 1976 Washington Quarter different from the regular quarters issued before and after that year. The reverse of the coin was redesigned to feature a new image, one that reflected the nation's bicentennial spirit. Instead of the eagle, we see a depiction of the colonial drummer, symbolizing the Revolutionary Era and the birth of the United States. The reverse design, created by Jack Ahr, shows a drummer with a triangular-shaped flag, and the words E Pluribus Unum and 1976 appear alongside the image. This design was part of a series of special commemorative coins released in 1975 and 1976 to mark the bicentennial, and it certainly captured the patriotic spirit of the era. This limited edition design made the 1776 to 1976 Washington Quarter a sought-after piece for collectors, but what really adds to its allure is its unique connection to such an important moment in American history. It's important to note that the Washington Quarter 1776 to 1976 was minted in both copper-nickel clad and 40% silver versions. The copper-nickel version is the most commonly found, while the 40% silver variety is much rarer and more valuable. The 40% silver quarters were issued as part of the U.S. Mint's effort to produce commemorative coins for the bicentennial, and they were only minted for that year, making them a limited edition release. Now, let's talk about value. The 1776 to 1976 Washington Quarter, while popular, isn't automatically worth a fortune. Most of the quarters you find in circulation or tucked away in old jars are likely the copper-nickel version, which holds only a small premium above its face value. In fact, the copper-nickel version is worth only a few dollars in average circulated condition. But here's where things get interesting. The 40% silver version of the 1776 to 1976 Washington Quarter can be significantly more valuable. The silver version of the 1776 to 1976 Washington Quarter was only produced in limited quantities, and because silver prices fluctuate, the value of these coins is often linked to the current price of silver. As of recent times, the silver content alone can push the value of these coins above the typical quarter price, with prices rising depending on the market. But that's not all. If you find a 1776 to 1976 Washington Quarter in excellent condition, or even better, in uncirculated or proof condition, the value could increase substantially. Coins in pristine condition, free from damage, wear, or discoloration, are highly desirable to collectors. One key to making your 1776 to 1976 Washington Quarter more valuable is the type of coin it is. In addition to the silver version, there are special proof coins that were produced for collectors. Proof coins are minted using a special process that results in a coin with a mirror-like finish and sharper details. These coins were not intended for general circulation, so they tend to be rarer and more highly valued by collectors who appreciate their high quality. Proof 1776 to 1976 Washington Quarters are often in higher demand, and some of them can command a substantial premium on the market. Now, let's get to the heart of the matter. How much could your 1776 to 1976 Washington quarter really be worth? For the copper-nickel version, you're typically looking at a coin worth only a few dollars, depending on its condition. However, if you have the 40% silver version, your coin could be worth anywhere from $5 to $15, depending on the current price of silver. But wait, there's more. If you have one of these coins in uncirculated or proof condition, especially a 40% silver version, your coin could be worth much more than just its silver content. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the ultimate value. If you're lucky enough to have an uncirculated 40% silver 1776 to 1976 Washington quarter, it could be worth an astonishing $88,000. Yes, $88,000 for a single coin. This value is reserved for the highest quality specimens, particularly those in perfect condition or with rare features that make them stand out among the rest. The rarity, quality, and historical significance of this coin make it one of the most valuable commemorative coins in American history. So, if you've got an old jar of coins or just happen to have a few of these quarters lying around, now's the time to take a closer look. You might have a hidden treasure on your hands, and who knows? You could be holding onto a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. In conclusion, the 1776 to 1976 Washington quarter dollar is not just a piece of American currency, but a significant historical artifact that reflects the spirit of the nation's bicentennial. Its value, particularly for the 40% silver versions, can be considerable depending on the coin's condition and rarity. So, next time you find one of these quarters, don't just dismiss it as pocket change. Take a moment to examine it carefully. It might just be worth more than you think. Today, we're diving into an incredibly fascinating and valuable piece of American numismatic history, the 1965 Washington quarter dollar. Now, you may be thinking, a quarter from 1965, what makes that so special? Well, stick with us, because this seemingly ordinary coin has a remarkable story and could be worth a whole lot more than just a quarter. We're going to explore why this particular quarter is so desirable and why it could fetch you a small fortune. You definitely won't want to miss this one. Let's start with a bit of background. The Washington quarter was first introduced back in 1932 to honor George Washington, the first president of the United States, on the 200th anniversary of his birth. The design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, featured the profile of Washington on the front, or obverse, of the coin, while the reverse depicted an eagle. This quarter became a staple of U.S. currency, and it's been in circulation ever since. Fast forward to 1965, and we're at a critical juncture in American history and coinage. The mid-1960s were marked by significant economic and social changes in the United States. The country was in the midst of the Vietnam War, and the government was dealing with a rising demand for coinage due to the rapidly growing economy. However, in 1965, something major happened in the world of U.S. currency. Due to a shortage of silver, the U.S. Mint made the decision to reduce the silver content in the Washington quarter from 90% to just 40%. This change impacted not only the Washington quarter but also dimes and half dollars. The reason for this shift was the rising cost of silver, which made it increasingly difficult to maintain the silver standard for U.S. coinage. So, in 1965, the new Washington quarters were minted with a copper-nickel composition, which meant they no longer contained the same precious metal content as earlier issues. So, what does this mean for the 1965 Washington quarter? While this change in composition is interesting from a historical perspective, it doesn't immediately make the coin particularly rare or valuable. After all, the coin was produced in massive numbers, and you'll find plenty of them circulating out there. However, the story doesn't end there. The real intrigue surrounding the 1965 Washington quarter lies in the potential for rare varieties and, more importantly, the coin's condition. As with any coin, the value of the 1965 Washington quarter depends heavily on its condition. Most of the coins that were minted in 1965 were used extensively in circulation and have been subject to wear and tear. These coins, which are worn down or scratched, are worth only a small amount more than their face value. But what makes the 1965 quarter special to collectors is the relatively few examples that were preserved in mint condition, or those that feature rare errors. While many of the 1965 quarters were produced in high numbers, certain specific varieties can be extremely valuable to collectors. One of the most sought-after varieties of the 1965 Washington quarter features a small D mint mark. However, there are very few of these coins out there, and they're often in much higher demand. There's also the potential for finding 1965 quarters with minting errors, like double die varieties, which are caused when the coin die gets misaligned during the striking process. These errors make the coins unique, and they can dramatically increase their value. The 1965 Washington quarter also holds appeal to collectors because of its historical significance. The shift from silver to copper-nickel was a monumental change in U.S. coinage, and it marks a distinct moment in time. Coins minted in 1965 carry a certain charm because they represent a significant turning point for the U.S. Mint, and for coin collectors, they serve as a snapshot of an era when currency was transitioning to a more modern, less precious metal-focused composition. Now, let's talk about how much the 1965 Washington quarter could be worth. For the majority of 1965 quarters, you won't find much beyond face value, especially if they're heavily circulated. However, if you have a 1965 Washington quarter in uncirculated or mint condition, especially one with a rare mint mark or error, it can be worth much more than you might expect. In fact, certain well-preserved 1965 Washington quarters can fetch thousands of dollars at auction. Some of these rare error coins have been known to sell for over $10,000 or more, depending on the rarity and the quality of the coin. But here's the kicker: the highest value examples of the 1965 Washington quarter can be worth an astounding $80,000. Yes, that's right, $80,000 for a single quarter. This price is typically reserved for those ultra-rare coins that are in pristine condition, free from wear, and perhaps feature some sort of unique error or rare minting feature that sets them apart from the rest. If you happen to have a 1965 quarter that's in perfect shape and carries some of these rarities, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that's worth more than the price of a new car or even a house. Pretty mind-blowing, right? The value of the 1965 Washington quarter may not be immediately obvious to the casual observer, but when you take into account factors like condition, mint mark, and any potential errors, it becomes clear why this coin is highly valued in the numismatic community. So, how do you know if your 1965 quarter is worth something significant? It's all about taking a close look at the condition of the coin. If you find that it has been well preserved or shows signs of being an uncirculated piece, it's worth taking it to a coin dealer or professional appraiser for a closer evaluation. And if your coin has any minting errors, whether it's a double die or some other unique characteristic, you'll want to get it professionally graded to determine its true value. In conclusion, the 1965 Washington quarter dollar may seem like a common coin at first glance, but its historical importance, potential for rare varieties, and value in top condition make it a fascinating piece of American currency. While the standard 1965 quarters may not be worth much more than their face value, finding one in exceptional condition, with a rare error or mint mark, could mean the difference between a few dollars and an eye-popping $80,000. So, the next time you come across a 1965 quarter, take a moment to inspect it carefully. You might be holding onto a rare treasure without even realizing it. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into a coin that might not immediately seem like a big deal but actually holds quite a bit of numismatic intrigue: the 1981 Washington quarter dollar. You might have seen these coins in circulation or even have a few stashed away in a drawer somewhere, but let me tell you, this 1981 quarter could be worth a lot more than you think. Now, you might be wondering, what's so special about the 1981 Washington quarter? After all, the Washington quarter has been a mainstay of U.S. currency for decades, ever since it was first issued in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The original design, featuring Washington's profile on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, was created by John Flanagan. Over time, this quarter has become one of the most recognizable coins in the U.S.By 1981, the design had undergone only minimal changes, but the circumstances surrounding coin production were starting to shift. By the early 1980s, the U.S. Mint was facing challenges related to the rising costs of metal, inflation, and increasing demand for coins due to a growing economy. The 1981 Washington quarter was part of an era in which the U.S. Mint produced large quantities of coins to meet these demands, but what sets it apart for collectors today is its uniqueness in terms of mintage, design, and, most importantly, the condition of the coin. The 1981 Washington quarter, like many others of its era, was primarily struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition. Unlike the earlier years when quarters were made from 90% silver, the shift in coin metal composition began in 1965 due to the rising price of silver. As a result, most of the quarters from 1981 and onward were made from this copper-nickel alloy. While this copper-nickel blend makes the 1981 Washington quarter less valuable in terms of precious metals, it's not the metal that gives this coin its collector's value, it's the condition and rarity of certain pieces. Let's take a moment to focus on what makes the 1981 Washington quarter interesting in the world of coin collecting. During the early 1980s, the U.S. Mint produced billions of quarters to satisfy the growing demand for currency, and these coins were often used heavily in everyday transactions. As a result, most of the 1981 quarters you come across will be in relatively poor condition, showing wear, scratches, and other signs of heavy use. However, it's the coins that were carefully preserved or uncirculated that can hold real value. One of the main reasons collectors seek out the 1981 Washington quarter is due to the rarity of coins in mint condition. When a coin is well preserved, free from the typical marks of circulation, it becomes far more desirable to collectors who are always on the lookout for pristine specimens. Coins that have been kept in perfect condition, especially those that were never even used in circulation, are much rarer and thus command much higher prices than the ones you would typically find in a changed JAR. In addition to the high-quality condition, there's also the potential for the 1981 Washington quarter to have unique characteristics, such as minting errors. For example, some 1981 quarters may have struck errors such as off-center designs, double die marks, or other interesting features that make them stand out. These error coins are highly sought after because they are one of a kind, and error coins generally command premium prices in the numismatic world. Now, let's get to the part that you've all been waiting for, the value of the 1981 Washington quarter. At face value, of course, the 1981 Washington quarter is worth only $1. However, in exceptional condition, this coin can be worth quite a bit more. If you're lucky enough to find a 1981 quarter in mint or uncirculated condition, it could be worth anywhere from a few dollars to upwards of $20 to $30, depending on its quality. But that's just the beginning. If you happen to come across a 1981 Washington quarter with a rare mint error or one that's in perfect, uncirculated condition, the value could be even higher. Now, for the most exciting part of this video, there is a 1981 Washington quarter out there that has been known to fetch a jaw-dropping price. If you happen to possess a pristine, uncirculated 1981 Washington quarter with a rare minting error, it could be worth an astonishing $70,000. Yes, you heard that right, $70,000 for a single quarter. This price is for the highest quality examples of the coin, particularly those that are free from any damage, wear, or scratches and have unique characteristics that make them stand out in the collector market. It's truly incredible to think that a coin, which most of us overlook in our pocket change, could be worth so much. This just goes to show how important it is to carefully inspect your coins, especially those that might seem ordinary at first glance. You never know what hidden treasure might be sitting right in front of you, waiting to be discovered. So, how do you determine if your 1981 Washington quarter could be worth a small fortune? The first step is to closely examine the condition of the coin. If it's been sitting in a drawer or coin album for years, you may have a well-preserved piece that could be worth more than you think. Look for any signs of wear and tear, scratches, discoloration, or dents. If the coin looks as if it was never used in circulation and retains its original luster, it's a good candidate for being considered in mint condition. Next, take note of any potential minting errors or irregularities. Even small imperfections in the design can increase the value of a coin. Errors such as double strikes, off-center designs, or other anomalies are prized by collectors because they make the coin unique. In conclusion, while the 1981 Washington quarter may not seem like a particularly special coin at first glance, its rarity in mint condition, its potential for unique minting errors, and the historical context of its production make it highly desirable to coin collectors. If you have one of these quarters lying around, take a closer look. You could be holding onto a coin worth a lot more than just 25 cents. And who knows, if it's in perfect condition or carries a rare error, you might be sitting on a coin worth $70,000. Today, we're going to take a closer look at a coin that might not catch the eye of most people at first glance but actually has quite a fascinating story and some serious collector value. We're talking about the 1982 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that, believe it or not, could be worth a whole lot more than just 25 cents. Now, when you think of quarters, you probably picture the classic Washington design, which has been the standard since 1932. George Washington's portrait graces the obverse of the coin, and on the reverse, we usually find an eagle or, in later years, variations that symbolize the United States heritage. But today's focus is on the 1982 Washington quarter, a coin produced during a period of change in the world of U.S. coinage. To set the stage, let's take a step back and look at what was going on in the early 1980s. The world was experiencing a time of significant economic shifts. The U.S. was going through an era of high inflation, and interest rates were rising as the country tried to deal with these economic challenges. For the U.S. Mint, this meant that coin production had to meet rising demands while also navigating the complexities of the economy. Coinage, especially quarters, became a crucial part of everyday transactions. Now, when we talk about the 1982 Washington quarter, there's something particularly intriguing about this specific year in the history of U.S. coinage. After the mint had switched from silver to a copper-nickel-clad composition in the mid-1960s, the coins produced in the early 1980s were composed of this same copper-nickel alloy. While this shift may not have made these coins any more valuable in terms of the metal content, it did mark a significant point in the evolution of U.S. currency. The 1982 Washington quarter is part of a continued era of high-volume production, which means there were billions of these coins minted. However, what makes the 1982 Washington quarter special to collectors is the condition in which it was preserved. Like many coins produced in the 1980s, most 1982 quarters have been heavily circulated. These coins were used in everyday transactions, and as a result, many show signs of wear and tear, scratches, dents, and discoloration. These circulated coins aren't worth much more than their face value of 25 cents. But hold on, because here's where things get interesting. The real value in the 1982 Washington quarter lies in the rarity of coins that have been preserved in mint or near mint condition. These high-quality, uncirculated coins are far less common, and as a result, they command much higher prices in the marketplace. For collectors, finding a coin in perfect condition is akin to discovering a hidden gem, and the 1982 Washington quarter is no exception. Coins that were carefully stored, untouched by the wear and tear of daily life, are incredibly desirable to collectors who are looking to complete their sets of uncirculated coins. But it doesn't stop there. There's more to the 1982 Washington quarter than just its condition. As with any coin, there are certain characteristics that can make a coin even more valuable. One of the key features that collectors look for are minting errors. If you happen to have a 1982 Washington quarter with a rare error, such as a double strike or an off-center design, you could be looking at a coin that's worth far more than just its face value. Minting errors occur when the coin dies used in the minting process are misaligned or damaged, leading to unique and one-of-a-kind coins. These error coins are often worth a lot more because they stand out from the mass-produced coins and are seen as rare finds. Now, let's talk about value. The typical 1982 Washington quarter in good condition might only fetch a few dollars over its face value. But that's not the whole story. If you've got a 1982 Washington quarter in excellent condition, or even better, one with a minting error, you could be sitting on a valuable piece of numismatic history. A pristine, uncirculated 1982 Washington quarter could sell for thousands of dollars in the right market. But here's the kicker: the highest quality examples of this coin, especially those that have been professionally graded as nearly perfect or feature rare minting errors, can be worth an incredible $73,000. Yes, you read that right. A single 1982 Washington quarter could be worth $73,000 if it's in mint condition or has a unique error. It's hard to believe, isn't it? A simple quarter from the 1980s that you might have overlooked in your pocket change could be worth a small fortune, depending on its condition and any potential errors. So, how do you determine if your 1982 quarter is one of these valuable coins? The first thing you should do is carefully inspect the condition of the coin. Look for any signs of damage or wear. If the coin is still shiny, with sharp details and no noticeable scratches or discoloration, it might be worth having it appraised. If you find any unusual features, such as double images, off-center designs, or any other irregularities, you could have a rare minting error on your hands. In that case, it's definitely worth getting the coin professionally graded by a numismatic expert to determine its true value. Finding a coin like this is exciting, but even if your 1982 Washington quarter isn't in perfect condition, don't throw it out just yet. It's always worth holding onto any vintage coin you come across. You never know when it might become valuable or sought after by collectors. To wrap things up, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar is far more than just a piece of currency, it's a piece of American history. Its significance, coupled with the rarity of uncirculated examples and minting errors, makes it a highly collectible coin. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just a casual collector, finding a 1982 Washington quarter in excellent condition, or even better, one with an error, could make your day, and it could bring in $73,000. So, the next time you come across a 1982 quarter, don't just toss it aside. Take a good look at its condition and any potential errors. You might just have a small fortune on your hands. Today, we're focusing on a coin that might have passed through your hands countless times without a second thought, the 1979 Washington quarter dollar. It may look like just another quarter, but believe me, it holds some serious value if you know what to look for. Stick around, and we'll explore the fascinating world of this iconic coin and just how much it could be worth. Now, you might be wondering why the 1979 Washington quarter is so special. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter. After all, the Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932, with George Washington's portrait gracing the obverse and an eagle perched on the reverse. But the 1979 Washington quarter stands out for several reasons, and its story is tied to both the U.S. Mint's production methods and a few key factors that collectors highly value. To understand why this particular quarter is so interesting, let's rewind a little. By the late 1970s, the U.S. Mint had already shifted to using a copper-nickel-clad composition for most of its coins, including the quarter. This was a departure from the earlier silver coins, which had been phased out after 1964 due to rising silver prices. While this shift in metal composition made these quarters less valuable in terms of precious metals, it did not diminish their historical or collectible value. In fact, it was during this period of minting that collectors began to focus more on the condition, rarity, and potential mint errors of the coins themselves rather than their metal content. In 1979, the U.S. Mint produced billions of quarters to meet the growing demand for currency in circulation. This was an era when the United States was experiencing economic growth and increased consumer spending, and coins were being used in everyday transactions more than ever before. As a result, many of the 1979 quarters you come across will be well worn, with visible signs of circulation. However, if you're lucky enough to find one that's been preserved in pristine condition or one that has some rare minting errors, then you could be holding on to something much more valuable. The 1979 Washington quarter is particularly sought after because of its relative rarity in uncirculated condition. Since many of these coins saw heavy use during the late 1970s and early 1980s, finding one that has avoided the typical wear and tear from circulation is a rarity. Coins that have been well preserved, with sharp details, no noticeable scratches, and a shiny finish, are much more valuable to collectors than those that are worn or damaged. If you come across one of these high-quality coins, you're looking at a serious potential treasure, but there's more to this coin than just its condition. Like many coins, the 1979 Washington quarter may have been subject to minting errors. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process, leading to a coin that doesn't meet the usual specifications. These errors can range from minor flaws to more significant issues, such as double strikes, misaligned dies, or off-center designs. Error coins are highly sought after by collectors because they are unique and rare, often worth far more than a standard coin in the same condition. For example, you might find a 1979 quarter that was struck with a double die, meaning that the design was impressed into the coin twice, resulting in a blurry or doubled appearance. Or, you might find one with an off-center strike, where the design is not fully aligned with the edge of the coin. These types of minting errors are what collectors dream of because they make the coin a one-of-a-kind item, and one that can fetch a much higher price than a typical, error-free example. So, what kind of value are we talking about here? Well, the standard 1979 Washington quarter, if it's been circulated and shows signs of use, is worth about its face value, 25 cents. However, if you happen to have an uncirculated example, one that's in near-perfect or mint condition, the price begins to climb. Coins that have been kept in excellent condition, especially those that have been graded by professional numismatic services, can be worth a few dollars over face value. But that's just the beginning. Now, for the most exciting part, the big reveal. If you happen to own a 1979 Washington quarter that's in top-tier condition or one that features a rare minting error, it could be worth much more. You're not just talking about a few bucks, we're talking about a potential windfall. In fact, the rarest and most pristine examples of the 1979 Washington quarter have been known to sell for as much as $77,000. That's right, $77,000 for a single coin. This price is for coins that are in mint condition or those that feature significant errors, making them highly desirable to collectors around the world. It's incredible to think that a coin that you might find in your spare change could be worth such an astonishing amount. So, if you've got any 1979 Washington quarters lying around, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. Inspect them carefully for signs of wear, and if you spot anything unusual, whether it's pristine condition or a potential minting error, get it appraised. You could be holding on to a small fortune. The moral of the story is this: don't overlook your pocket change. Sometimes, hidden treasures are right in front of us, just waiting to be discovered. The 1979 Washington quarter may seem like a simple coin, but its historical significance, rarity in top condition, and potential for minting errors make it a valuable asset for collectors. So, the next time you see a 1979 quarter in your change, take a moment to check it out. You might just be looking at a coin that could be worth $77,000. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins and want to learn more about hidden treasures like this one, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an exciting update. Until next time, happy hunting, and keep your eyes peeled for those valuable coins.